Page 102, Blues Soul. This lesson, they're introducing you to grace notes. I'll talk about grace notes a little later on in the lesson. First, I'm just going to go through the routine to learn a piece of music. I look it over, it's a page long. Treble and bass clef, no sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key of C major. Make sure you're doing the C major scale. And you probably ought to be doing the minor scales too if you haven't been. So do the A minor scale also. 4/4 time signature. The right hand first, let's make sure we understand what we're doing here. Eighth notes is starting here. And when I look ahead through the music here to see what other notes are involved, I see we are in a 5-finger position. We're okay here. So it's 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. And that's tied to the end of it. Now let's go to measure 4. You're into here. And then they want you to come up here at the next measure. You already used the 3rd finger. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to adjust it because I like to feel my way around the keyboard here, and just moving around like this makes it hard. So I don't want to use 3rd finger on measure 4 because I need 3rd finger for measure 5, more or less. So I'm going to measure 3 here. I'm going to scrunch up and use thumb. Just scrunch up and use thumb. Here. Now I'm in position for measure 5. I'll just reach up a little bit. And in measure 5, the B flat, remember that's good for the rest of the measure. So all of those B's are flat. And then measure 6 you in on a thumb, but measure 7 you just cross over as though you were doing a scale, and 3. Then measure 9, you're up here. Now the grace note I'll put in later. Leave it out right now. We're just doing the big notes. 1 and 2 and 3. And you have a rest. You have 1 beat rest to move up here. It's okay. No, not a problem. And then measure 10, just come down 1 and cross over. Okay. Now left hand, this pattern in the left hand's common for boogie woogies and blues. You have the top note going here. The bottom note stays the same. Okay, and the fingering, I like the fingering they're doing here. It's a 2-1-2. They're connecting it. If your hand's big enough. If not, you have to use the thumb on the B flat. So it's here 2, and the bottom note's tied. Just hold it down. Like so, until 3rd measure, play it again. So, and then for measure 5, you're just coming up. Use this as your pivot and come across. 5-2, same thing. And then come back down for measure 7. And then measure 9, you just lift up and move. And then here again, the last 2 lines. Yeah, I like that. It's not too bad. Then we'll put the hands together. It's here. Here and here. And then again. Thumb in the right hand now. And then cross. You get the idea? So you put the hands together and then go over the tricky spots, all of it, and get rid of the hesitations. Keep it as slow as you need to, but no hesitations anywhere. Steady beat. And then I think about the articulation. And this is where I add the ornaments. I mean, you can do them anytime you want. So let's talk about this grace note. A grace note is a type of ornament. Ornaments are extra little notes they stick in there occasionally to fancy up the music, to make it ooh. Long time ago, back in 1700s and before, they didn't put the ornaments in the music. It was up to the performer to just add them, and they used to add a lot. It was like almost every note had an ornament or something. And then in the 1700s, they started writing in. The composers started writing in the ornaments they wanted where they were. Because an ornament, adding an ornament and which ornament you add and all that, that's part of interpreting the music. Because ornaments are extra. Most ornaments you can leave out. When I first learn a piece of music and working out the notes, I leave out the ornaments. There's a lot of other ornaments besides grace note. We'll get to those later. And that's why when I first approached this, I said leave out the grace note. Well, now we'll add it in. A grace note is just a really quick note played right before the main note. Just a quick note. They have one, where is it? It's measure 9. This is, see the A sharp and the B. The A sharp is a grace note. Just a quick note. It's not done rhythmically. It's just real quick. Then in measure 10, it's a G sharp A. Sometimes, in interpreting it, you can play them at the same time and release the grace note. Depends on the music and what's needed. It's interpretation. Now the part where people don't agree. You ought to know there's parts where people don't agree on everything. Some people will play the grace note right in front of the beat. So it's 1 and 2. It's where the B is on the beat. 1 and 2 and. Other people, like me, play the grace note on the beat. So it's 1 and. That and. 1 and 2. In this case, you can't really tell because there's nothing else going on. You do it the way your teacher tells you to do it. And most people will tell you to play the grace note in front of the beat. I was taught in college to play them on the beat, so I play them on the beat. Except if it's at the beginning of a piece, then I'll play it in front of the beat, more like a pickup note. Otherwise, I'm going to play on the beat, so it's 1. Or you can just leave the grace note out. You don't even have to play it. Technique-wise, there's no big deal. It's just a bum, boom, no big deal. As far as any other articulation, it's pretty much connected. You can lift up between the phrases. Lift up. Lift up. Lift up. Just lift up for the phrases. Otherwise, you connect it all. This left hand, I would connect the left hand. I'd even connect this top note. The dynamics, MP, mezzo piano, for the melody, which is the right hand. Sort of, what do you think sort of soft is? This left hand needs to be very soft. Measure 5 and come up to moderately loud in the right hand. Keep the left hand soft. Back down to measure 7, moderate less. And then measure, 9, you're up to moderately loud. A little softer. And then you have a demi-rit at the bottom. Dim means diminuendo, which means get softer. You're moderately soft. Each from the G, F, E, each one of those is a little softer. Left hand keep it in the background. Rit is slow down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, whatever. The fermata at the end, you just hold that out, however long you think it should be. If I do it with a metronome, I'll just double the value of the half note, and I'll hold it for 4 counts instead of 2, and then lift up. Otherwise, you just feel how long you should hold it and lift up when you're done listening to it, I guess. As far as the speed goes, it's a slow swing. Well, it's a blues piece. Remember the different kinds of music. Jazz, blues, and swing. 3 different kinds of music. They all play basically the same style, and that is you swing the rhythm. That means you don't count it 1 and 2 and. You count it 1 and 2. It's long short. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You feel it. There's no notation. You just have to feel it. Of course, it applies to the 8th notes because that's what you're swinging. 1 and 2 and 1. 3 and 4 and 1. 1 and 2 and that's what there's. And a slow swing is slow it down because you got slow and medium and fast and all. So kind of a sad piece. Yeah, that's okay. Now they've added pedal. So Again, if you're using pedal, why are you using it? What's it do? What's the point? Otherwise, leave it out. I mean, you could play this piece just fine without it. What they're doing is they're coloring the longer held notes, sort of. Otherwise, you don't need it. So in the second measure, you're here. Right after I play the A, I put it down. And it's helping me connect the left hand here. I got to play the C again. The pedal's going to help me connect it. So the second measure is here. And I'll lift it up right after I play the next note. Same thing. Again. And it helps me connect this left hand here. And I'm not connecting this, so I don't need this. It's like a contrast. We don't connect that. And then at the end, we're coloring the longer held notes. And because in blues, it's normal to color the last chord. You just give it that extra flavor. Yeah. That's sort of the pedal. Please don't copy me. You get into it, make it yours. Remember the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. And feel the natural accents. I exaggerate it so you can hear it better, but you just want to feel these as you go through it. Let's play it together very slowly. Check the notes and the rhythms. I'll give us 4 counts. 1 and 2 and ready and go. And 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 1 and 2